And also the person doesn't feel your love for them. They don't feel your concern for them or anything like that. And they don't feel what you feel for them. Now, of course, that's going to require you dealing with any impure feelings you have for them, like worry or wanting them to get what you believe or those kind of things. That's all impure. But if you have a sincere interest to just present truth and love them in the process, they'll feel all that and they'll be far more open to receiving what you share. Right? So this whole... Go on.
If you don't feel like you have those feelings,
then don't do it.
Then why even write the email?
That's right. And don't do it until you sort out your own feelings.
Yeah. This is what we keep drawing you back to, is unless your desire is pure and loving, the law itself is going to expose to you the impurity
of your own desire.
Of your desire.
Mm.
So how can it really go as well as you want it to?
Yep. Can't. You in terms of?
Yes, I'm not sure if what should I do next? Should I show this video to him, or how do I change his mind?
Why do you want to change his mind so much?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. See, there's also issues with that, isn't there? It's like every person has free will. They're allowed to choose to do what they choose to do. God doesn't stop them from doing it. It's a loving thing to want to try to help a person. But if after you talk to them or after you show them a video of what's actually going on, they still don't want to know and they still don't want to accept, what can you do? There's very little you can do. The will of the person will be paramount in their life, and whatever they will to do, they will do. Whatever they desire to do, they will do. All we can do is demonstrate a sincere, loving interest in our friends who believe these things and share with them the truth if they allow us to. That's really all you can do. You can't force it on them. You can't pressure them. But you can say, would you like to know what the truth is about it? You can ask that. And you can also pray. See, what I've found a lot is sometimes I see things going on amongst people that I know and I go, I haven't got the opportunity yet. An example was that actually on Thursday. I felt for yourself, James, what's going on last week. And before then, when Mary first conversed with you. And I thought it'd be lovely if James gave me an opportunity to share the truth with him, right? So on Thursday, I prayed about you. I prayed about, can God arrange things so that you have a desire to know? Does that make sense? And so, lo and behold, James puts his hand up in the audience. I go, James, right? Because there's my opportunity. Like, if he didn't put his hand up, I don't really have an opportunity. I don't really have an opportunity to share with him what's going on because the will is not engaged at that point to know. But as soon as the will is engaged to know, I'm not breaking the law sharing anymore.
And when you receive God's love, you become very sensitive to other people's free will. You know, you don't want to force things upon people because you understand it's your open seeking heart that has allowed love and truth to enter. You really understand sort of on an emotional level that if you try and force something on someone and they're not open or seeking it, it doesn't work anyway. So, and it's also breaking a law. It's saying, I want to override your will. You know, so your desire to change his mind, for example, is different from feeling, wow, I can see how it would benefit him and his clients if he knew the truth about it.
Just have an opportunity to hear the truth.
Yeah,
you know?
but
they
also,
must create.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. That's what I mean. Yeah.
So for my interaction with James that we had, when was it, Friday? My prayer during the week about this circumstance was a part of why it happened, right? And because I asked, but also a part of why it happened was there were some influences then brought to bear upon James to finish up putting up his hand and wanting to know, having some suspicion from our prior conversations that something's going on, and then wanting to know, right? And you can work with that. When a person wants to know, you can always work with that. But when a person doesn't want to know, you don't want to fight with them, you don't want to argue with them. At the end of the day, just offer an opportunity. Look, I know what's going on. If you want to know, I'm happy to share with you, or even just watch this video. This is how you come. This is what's going on. That's all it requires, but it does require you honouring their will, right? It requires you, if you're loving, you will not browbeat them, pressure them, argue and fight with them about something, right?
And you're not invested in them changing.
Yeah.
It's the investment in change.
You just want to share the truth with them.
Your investment in someone else changing is about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it okay, to write a sincere email that takes like a day to write, and just say that this is a gift, so you are free not to accept it? Maybe in that way.
Well, why not a face-to-face? Is there a reason?
Because when I write an email, I can check myself whether I know these things for sure or not, and tell that I'm not I don't know if that's the truth, but so and so.
Well, it's not the only reason why an email. The world today is addicted to texts, emails, videos, and a lot of the reason why is because it's depersonalization of an interaction that we really do not wish to have ourselves because of the possible confrontation we would have.
I feel very much the opposite. I mean,
so have the personal interaction.
No, I mean, usually when I have a personal interaction, my facade may take over, or manipulation, or something
I get that.
Automatic behavior, and then I write an email. I can
control yourself.
Yeah, control myself, but
and
also
hide.
You don't see a problem with that.
You're actually hiding your condition from yourself.
Yeah, that's right. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, no, you are. That's
no, you
not
are.
a question.
We're not. It's not a question.
Yeah.
It's, by depersonalizing an interaction, you are hiding parts of yourself from the interaction, and this is what we see as a major problem: is that a lot of people go, "But I want the video, I want the text, or whatever." But actually, the face-to-face conversation, if possible, or the live conversation by phone is far better, because you're going to have your reactions and he's going to have his reactions, or she's going to have her reactions, and this will help both of you to work through issues of why you find truth so hard to share, why you find honouring someone's free will so hard, and things like that. It will help you. And so I'd really like to encourage all of you to sort of stop this text thing and the whole email thing. And by the way, email is just a waste of time. Right? That's why you send me an email, it's very rare you're going to get a reply unless it's a one line, because it is a waste of time. It's the slowest way to communicate with someone, and it's full of the danger of them not understanding you. Whereas if you're face to face, like when I had a conversation with James, face to face, the other day, he could feel that I love him and care about him. It's not about me trying to pull him down. He can feel that I'm interested in what's really going on, not what, he can feel those things. But if I did all that via email, he wouldn't have been able to feel any of those things. Or he would have looked at the email and go, wow, this is real harsh. Because I said some pretty straight things to you, didn't I, on Friday about power and other things like that. But if he had it in an email, he would have felt, wow, that's pretty hard. And also that then allows spirit influence to overcome the person in that moment. Go, this person's not, doesn't have my welfare at heart or anything like that. And that's the danger. The danger is when you're not face to face, you're now creating an atmosphere that other people, spirits and everybody, can get involved in what's happening. And also the person doesn't feel your love for them. They don't feel your concern for them or anything like that. And they don't feel what you feel for them. Now, of course, that's going to require you dealing with any impure feelings you have for them, like worry or wanting them to get what you believe or those kind of things. That's all impure. But if you have a sincere interest to just present truth and love them in the process, they'll feel all that and they'll be far more open to receiving what you share. Right? So this whole...
If you don't feel like you have those feelings,
then don't do it.
Then why even write the email?
That's right. And don't do it until you sort out your own feelings.
Yeah. This is what we keep drawing you back to, is unless your desire is pure and loving, the law itself is going to expose to you the impurity
Of your own desire.
of your desire.
Mm.
So how can it really go as well as you want it to?
Yep. Can't. So the beauty of having a face-to-face interaction with a person is far better than any other interaction. In the spirit world, every single thing you will be taught will come from a face-to-face interaction with somebody, either in a group setting or a personal setting. It won't come from emails. There are emails. Every thought you have that you construct gets sent to the person you're thinking about. So let's say I think Mary's really nasty. That thought package, while I'm thinking it, goes to Mary and she can accept it or reject it. But it's an email that goes to Mary. Just me thinking Mary's nasty is an email that goes to Mary saying, Mary, you're nasty. And Mary can either accept it or reject it, or say back, so are you. And you know what? It's an email coming back, right? So, but if I think,
It's not called an email, though.
No, it's a thought packet that telepathically, I suppose you could call it, gets transmitted. Thoughts are things. They get transmitted through space. And in fact, thoughts have some physical limitations in terms of their speed of transmission and other things like that. They can't be transmitted faster than light or anything like that, but they are transmitted through space. So thoughts are. But as you grow into becoming a celestial spirit, feelings get transmitted and they're not limited by space or time. So if I have a feeling for Mary, I love her, she feels it straight away. Right? But it's like a thought packet when you're in the soul space. Right? But before then, most six-sphere spirits and anybody whoever lives underneath that space, they think things, and that thought goes to another person. If it's directed at another person, that's who it goes to. Right? So there is emails, but it's just sort of thoughts constructed that are sent back and forth. So if I go, Mary, can I meet you at 2:00 over on Alpha Centauri? Mary will go, yes or no, back, and I'll be able to hear that. Right? And we can tee up events and we can meet up with people. If a global event is done, then people transmit this global event is happening to lots and lots of people in a sphere, and the ones who want to go will say, yeah, I'm going, and they go. Does that make sense? So these things happen, but it's far better to understand that your feelings and your thoughts are things, and these feelings and your thoughts are going to determine your interaction with your friends. They're going to determine people will feel your love. But if they're not face to face with you, most people can't feel it. They are not sensitive enough to feel it. See, every bad thought you've ever had about me comes to me. You understand? So I know when you're thinking these condescending things about me and other things like that, right? And I feel them, as Mary knows. I go, oh, such and such is doing that, that such and such is doing that. And it's just about whether you want to accept that or reject that as to what happens, right? Now, if you're face to face, it's harder for a person to misinterpret a thing than it is if you do it using any other medium of communication. When you're face to face, you can feel your love for them and you can feel the truth that you believe, and that can be shared. But many of you are, particularly many of you younger ones, are afraid of face-to-face communication nowadays because you've become so bound to devices that buffer your feelings from their feelings. You understand? And your thoughts from their thoughts. And so there's a buffer in between, which is the device. And so you can now fake on the device, you can fake things. You can go, oh, I'm really interested in you when you couldn't care less about the person. You can say, I'm not angry when you're actually angry as hell. You can say these things and you can fake these things. And this is why we like the devices, because they allow us to fake interactions with people rather than having real ones, right?
And if you think about your question is, I want to be able to fake this.
Yeah.
No, I'm not asking you.
It's not a question.
you
can,
literally,
you
if you
can
listen back to the
or reject
recording,
that.
you said, if I do it face to face, I might get angry, or I might get
Correct.
You said I might go into facade, I might do these other things.
I might get impulsive.
Impulsive, exactly,
Yeah.
which is a part of your condition.
And you, by having the device, is faking your impulsiveness.
That's right.
Right.
If it's there within you, wouldn't you want to expose that within yourself?
Yeah,
If you're
of course
humble, you would want to know what's in yourself, not try to restrict or control or present another facade through the email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, one of the things that we would like to have talked about with you this weekend is truth, because it's an issue that we haven't put a lot of focus on this weekend. But what we find is so many of you are living a lie and not even knowing it, not even thinking you are, because you fake everything you do. You're trying to control how everyone around you perceives you and how they react to you. And so a lot of the things you do are all pleasant. And this is very English, if you think about it. This whole polite demeanour, which, has been educated over hundreds of years, while at the same time storing some very, very concerning emotions, right? And this is not living in harmony with the principle of truth. So when you communicate with another person, not face to face, you've got to make sure that the very thing you're communicating is exactly what you feel. Otherwise, you've broken a law. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? So if you're partially angry and partially worried about your impulsiveness, you need to somehow communicate that. If you're going to communicate via a device to somebody. And this is why when most people email me and they get an email back, I am straight down the line with exactly what I feel about the subject. And they go, wow, there's a guy this week dealing with an engineer. This engineer, on June the 17th or something, I contracted him to do a small job for me. He promised he would have it done by the 27th of July. I paid him up front to complete the job. So I paid all the money up front on the 27th of June. 17th. Or even earlier than that, I think it was 17th of June. And he told me he would have the job done by the 27th of July. I email him on the 30th of July and ask him what's going on. He emails me back and says, oh, yeah, I haven't got to it yet. Right? So I'm patient. I wait another month. 27th of August comes by. Right? I email him back and say, what's happened to the job? Nothing. Haven't got anything from him at all. He hasn't communicating with me. Nothing. Right? Now, he needs to know that this behaviour is pretty bad. He's not taking my phone calls. He's not allowing me to go face-to-face because obviously I'm overseas. So I do need to communicate with him by the written word somehow, but I need to be straight. I need to say, what you're doing is not ethical, and also it's not what you agreed. Now, I can feel him well enough. I can feel that he thinks I'm being a pain in the neck and, being demanding and whatever else. But I'm not being demanding. He promised something on the 27th of July, and he could have communicated with me that wasn't possible, but he did not. After I had a meeting with him, in fact, 2 meetings beforehand, saying that I wanted him to communicate with me freely about every issue, and I wanted him to let me know if it wasn't possible up front. I already had laid all the groundwork for this to happen. So now, what can I do? Now, he doesn't want to hear from me, and he's also taken the money. He also has broken his contract at this stage, and that's where it is at the moment. But I can feel what he thinks. He thinks I'm being a, pain in the neck, even though he's the one who's broken his own contract and been unethical. Right? And I'm going to say that to him when I get the opportunity. because that's exactly what's happened. Now, the average person receiving those kind of emails from me goes, what? You know, and how bad is this and how terrible is that guy? And I go, I'm just being honest with you, man. So, you've done this. I'm just saying you've done it. What are we going to do about that? The fact that you've done it. What are we going to do that you've done that? And what are you going to do about that? I need to be straight with you about that. The average person, your generation and under, can't handle that for some reason. And part of the reason is because you're so addicted to the furry, fuzzy that come through devices. And do you know what I mean by furry fuzzies that come through devices? The messages that go, oh, aren't you lovely? You're really lovely, but I want this. That kind of, you know, there's an underlying tone of do it, but there's on top of it, there's this facade and it's all misrepresenting what's really going on. So I would encourage all of you to be far more honest with yourselves, firstly, about what you actually feel when you engage situations where you're trying to help people, so-called, and when you're trying to, you know, share truth with people and so forth. You've got to make sure that your feelings about the issue are dealt with so that you can be straight and honest with the person you're dealing with. And it's far better if you can have a face-to-face interaction with that person than it is to do it via any other means. So now I might not get the engineering until I go home, which is about November the 9th or something, but one of the very first things I'm going to do is drop in and have a face-to-face with that engineer. Make sense? And he's not going to like it, but that's the way it is. That's going to have to happen.